Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to learn about making comparisons in English. This includes comparatives, superlatives, and other useful structures that help us compare people, objects, and actions. Let's begin our lesson. Now we move on to comparatives. First, let's talk about comparatives. We use comparatives to compare two things or actions. For example, a hotel is more comfortable than a tent. Are you feeling better today? It's hotter today than yesterday. Comparatives help us show changes or differences between two items. Like, Greta is taller than Lorna. I can drive faster than you. She looks happier than before. Now we move on to superlatives. We use the superlative form of adjectives and adverbs to compare one thing or action with a group of things or actions. Here are examples from the slide. This is the most comfortable sofa I've ever sat on. He's my best friend. The hottest temperatures in Brazil are in January. Greta is the tallest in her family. Is this the fastest you can drive? Some of my happiest memories are from the 90s. So superlatives highlight something that is the highest, the most extreme, or the best within a group. Besides comparatives and superlatives, English also has several other useful structures for comparison. The first one is not, as a bike isn't as fast as a car. Here, we show that the bike is slower. The next is just as a smartphone might be just as expensive as a laptop. This means they have the same level of cost. We also have the structure. The higher you climb, the dizzier you feel. This expresses a proportional or cause and effect comparison. Finally, repeated forms like, Tom's nose is getting redder and redder with that cold. This means the redness keeps increasing over time. On this slide, we can see the different forms of comparatives and superlatives based on the number of syllables and ending patterns of the adjectives. Let's go through the chart step by step. 1. One-syllable adjectives. For comparatives, we add backshid action. And for superlatives, we add backshid action. Examples include words like small right pointing arrow, smaller right pointing arrow, the smallest. 2. Two-syllable adjectives ending in y, we change y to ia for the comparative, and est for the superlative. For example, happy right pointing arrow, happier right pointing arrow, the happiest. 3. One-syllable adjectives ending in e. These simply add beach, and saint. For example, large right pointing arrow, larger right pointing arrow, the largest. 4. One-syllable adjectives ending in consonant vowel consonant. We double the final consonant before adding or -est. For example, big right pointing arrow, bigger right pointing arrow, the biggest. 5. Adjectives with two or more syllables. We use more for the comparative and the most for the superlative. For example, expensive right pointing arrow, more expensive right pointing arrow, the most expensive. 6. Irregular forms. These do not follow the usual rules. The slide lists good, well, right pointing arrow. Better right pointing arrow, the best. Bad, badly right pointing arrow, worse. Right pointing arrow, the worst. Far right pointing arrow, farther. Further right pointing arrow, the farthest, the furthest. Old right pointing arrow, elder or older. And the eldest or the oldest. Additional notes. Some two-syllable adjectives can use either sidete, trath, sha rhyme, joicist, or more, the most. The examples shown are narrow, clever, simple, cruel, common, likely, gentle. Adverbs ending in nephically always take more or the most, never, est. And finally, old has both a regular form, older/the older, and an irregular form, elder/the eldest, when talking about people's ages, especially within families. That covers the full set of comparative and superlative forms shown in this table. Notes. On this slide we have several important notes about comparison forms. 1. Less/the least. First, less and the least are the opposites of more and the most. The slide gives these examples. Planes are less dangerous than cars. I bought the least expensive phone. I only need it to make calls. So we use less for the comparative form and the least for the superlative form of adjectives with more syllables, or when we want to express a lower degree. 2. Modifiers before comparatives. Next, before comparatives we can add words like much, a lot, a bit, no, or any. The example here is, your car is much faster than mine. These words make the comparison stronger or softer. 3. Superlatives with ever. Finally, superlatives are commonly used with the word ever to express a first-time or extreme experience. The example in the slide is, "This is the biggest hamburger I've ever eaten." So the structure, the plus superlative plus ever, is a natural way to describe the most extreme experience in your life so far. That concludes the keynotes for this slide. That brings us to the end of our lesson on comparisons. We've reviewed comparatives, superlatives, and several other comparison structures like as, the, and repeated forms like redder and redder. Thank you for learning with me, and I hope these structures help you communicate more clearly and confidently. Happy learning!